Jimara Araupalis, collaborating with Universitas Airlangga, University of Sumatra Utara, University Islam Riau, and Raja Mangala University of Technology Sriwijaya. My name is Nur Hazika Shazwani binti Adi Safi, and I will be serving you as your moderator for today. You'll be hearing a presentation from Mr. Fadrullah bin Safian, a business analyst reporting risks of platform financial management group Macquarie Group Limited, Australia. Hello, Mr. Fadrullah. Welcome to AGW 2023. How are you?
Thank you. Well, thanks. I hope everyone is well too.
Right. Okay. So before we get started, I'll be sharing a little bit about our presentator. Mr. Fadrullah is currently posting as a manager at PwC Australia Sydney. His career history started from October 2012 to July 2014 as in lecturer in UiTM. In May 2013 until September 2017, he is a business functional analyst in Petronas. In October 2017 until May 2018, he is a business analyst in Cargill Holdings Malaysia Sdn Bhd. In October 2018 to June 2019, he is a product business analyst in LexisNexis. In June 2019 to July 2019, he is a contractor at UWE, a business analyst in Houston recruitment. In August 2019 until now, he is a manager in the PwC Australia in Sydney. He has a Master of Accountancy in UiTM, Bachelor of Accountancy Honors in UiTM as well, and currently pursuing Certificate of Agile BA Practitioner in APMG International. So, without further ado, I'll be moving along to our session. Please welcome Mr. Fadrullah bin Safian who will be speaking to us on topic tech accountant, prowess, and profession.
All right. Thank you, Nur Hazika. Just sound check. Can everyone hear me okay? All right. So I think I'll be sharing my slides then. 1 second, bear with me. I never thought that speaking in front of a visual audience can also become a little bit nerve-wracking, but anyway, it is what it is. It's nerve-wracking. Anyway, all right. Hopefully you guys can see my screen, and there you go. Should be here. All right. So basically, what I'm going to share with you, it's more or less my personal experience from where I was a UiTM student up until where I am today. And before we start, I think let us start with some acknowledgement. I can say that I won't be who I am today without all the lecturers, especially the one that I can see them on the screen now. Because they provided me with all this safe space for me to make all the mistakes to improve myself. So kudos to you all, because I am who I am today was because of your contribution and your sacrifices. So thank you to all lecturers from UiTM Prowess. And a disclaimer, I would say, this is a personal sharing. This is not me professionally representing my employer. To share my knowledge or a little bit of my experience. So this is just, again, my personal sharing on this topic. Now, let us start with a saying that I am a result-driven business analyst specialized in optimizing financial supply chain. So the keyword here is business analyst. I want to ask for you to ponder, what is business analyst? I haven't heard, I have no idea about this terminology when I was studying it as well. But let us explore what it is all about, and then let us explore who else around business analysts that you can become if you are studying accounting or accounting information system. Now, I know that Hazika have already given me given you all some glimpse of my journey, so I'll reiterate the same. So basically, this is my journey. I started my accounting education when I joined UITM. Prior to that, when I was in school, I was actually a pure science student studying biology, chemistry, and physics. So I left that area and I joined accounting. So diploma in accountancy from UITM, bachelor of accountancy from UITM, and then master in accountancy in UITM as well. And I started my first career as a lecturer for UITM as well. So it was a good, I think, 2.5, 3 years stint of sharing and motivating students to excel in not just education, but to start their profession. I'll share with you how I jumped into the corporate life, but after some thinking, I decided to leave my profession as an educator to join Petronas. It's a oil and gas company in Malaysia as a business functional analyst. And that was how I discovered the love of becoming a business analyst. That's how I started becoming a business analyst. And then my career go to Cargill Holdings Malaysia Sdn Bhd, and then to Lexis Australia, also as a business analyst. And then, you know, I decided instead of pursuing CIMA or other accounting profession, why don't I specialize into becoming a business analyst? So I did a course or online certification called Agile BA Foundation from APMG International, and then that's where I started becoming a consultant as a within PwC, purely specializing in transformation, technology transformation work or projects. And then, yeah, here I am now with Macquarie Groups Limited, doing reporting area within Treasury, and I'm now a Agile BA practitioner. So I asked just now, what is a business analyst? So the answer is here. I think this basically summarizes what I do on a daily basis. I am a professional translator. So I talk to the coder, I talk to the programmer, and then try to understand. Oh no, sorry, it's the other way around. I talk to the stakeholder, I talk to the business users. What do you want in your technology? And then they tell me, oh, I want this. I want a more attractive button to click. I want my screen to become more attractive. I want my report to be generated by just a click. So what I will do with that is I call that as requirements. I'll go to the developer and say, hey, my business or my business users, they want these features or they want this capability within this system. Can you do that for them? So I will go to the coder, and then the coder said, no, you cannot. And then that's where I play my role, and I have to translate whatever the programmer is telling me back to the stakeholders. Because the stakeholder, if you ask them to talk to the developer, it will be cats talking to dogs. It will be one will speak their language, and the other one will speak their language. So the terminology will also be different. So that's where business analysts come into the picture. Business analyst will be the moderator. And as the middle person, you have to understand both languages. You have to know the technical side of things. You have to know the business side of things. So that's my journey in a nutshell. Now, before I decided to become a business analyst, I also had that moment where when I was studying Bachelor of Accountancy or Master of Accountancy, I was like, oh, okay, are these the only career path for us accounting graduates? Or if you're doing accounting information systems, certified public accountant, auditors, management accountant, cost accountant, government or public accountant, investment accountant? Are these the only career options that you have or we have? So I don't have, I think back then during my era, we don't have everything at the click of your finger. You don't have ChatGPT to ask, what can I be if I'm doing diploma in accounting information system. So even having Google back then was a luxury for us. So we don't have that. So I grew becoming a business analyst based purely on experience. So I had that moment. And then I was like, okay, what do I want to do once I graduated? I sit down, I ponder, and I decided my passion is to share my knowledge. Why don't I become an educator? So I did. I pursued my passion. I did become a lecturer, and it was not because I want to teach people. It was because of passion to share my knowledge with others. So I did I did some financial accounting lecturing, corporate finance, and then at one time I was given this opportunity to teach or to share about accounting information system. That was my aha moment. That was when I discovered, oh, it's interesting. What if I marry finance and accounting with technology? Back then, I still remember we were still teaching my own business, I think, what it's called. And even that, we thought that it was, ooh, okay, this is fancy. It was back then. Okay, so that was my aha moment. That was the turning point where I decided, okay, I have to do something if I want to pursue this new area. And then I was lucky enough because I was introduced to my friend who was with Petronas. At that moment, they were looking for someone who have accounting background, but willing to learn technology. So that's where I started joining Petronas and leaving the education area. Now, let's talk about technology, why I decided to leave a very stable, reputable career, and then trying to start from scratch into this new area that I want to do, and I want to leave whatever that I had behind. So if you think about technology, you can say that the only constant about technology is change. So technology will always change. And if you look at it from the accounting or finance perspective, this is what you get. So if you think about how your business grew from ages ago, it started off with basic transactions, small volume, and then it involved manual data entry and record keeping. But the moment you grow your business, you will face a lot more complex transactions. You'll get more volume in your transactions. And then you start using things like spreadsheet or some other system to record your transactions. And this will keep on continuing until your business grow bigger and bigger. And then not just in terms of your company size, it's in terms of the time that lapsed as well. So back then, you can just use spreadsheet to record your transactions, to do your reporting. But now you can't live with just Excel. You have to start using accounting information system, UBS, MyOp, SAP. So we're talking about accounting system where it helps you to dinge the spreadsheet and then start capturing data directly into the system. And then that's where you have all your GL configuration and stuff. But then that was the era where you have this accounting information system. And what about now? I think now, if you're relying on just accounting information system, you won't be able to compete with your other competitors because other competitors are matching or linking their accounting information system with other systems within the entity or within the organization, and that's what we call as ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning System, where in ERP, accounting information module is no longer called a system, it's a module within a big system. And then that's where you can start pulling accounting data and try to marry it with other side of the business data, such as marketing, such as investment, such as sales. So within ERP, that's where you have accounting. And accounting, believe it or not, will be at the end of the chain, because just imagine whenever that somebody do transactions, where I know that people are going out, salesperson are going out to get sales, but the moment they put something related to, or not directly related to, and it doesn't have to be directly related to sales. The moment the salesperson were hired, the company need to pay money to this salesperson. That alone will already lead to the end of the chain, which is accounting. So I think for me, I feel like I'm blessed where I did accounting, because as a person with accounting background, I can tap into all different sorts of area within organization, because I know accounting is at the end. If I understand, or if I learn a little bit about marketing, I can then go to marketing area and do some of their stuff, like do their transformation and stuff that I will explain later. So that is about the change. So the only constant is change, and then change is an opportunity in disguise. So why do I say that? Because the moment something changed, everyone that get affected by that change will be in this new territory, and everyone have to learn new skills. So when you do, for example, on the left-hand side, higher education degree or diploma, you did your professionals, that alone is not enough now, because time has changed. This is the era where people have to upskill in terms of their technology skills, and that breeds the technology accountant. And the technology accounting or tech accountant that we use in this topic is not a fancy name that is being used in the industry. It was just something that I made up, because I think this is what we need now, a person with accounting background that can call as accountant, also skilled in technology. And what do we do with those? So this is not a exclusive or a comprehensive list of careers. I'll just give you two scenarios where I think, number one, it relates to my journey so far, and number two, broad enough for us to start exploring further. So with your accounting finance background, if you marry that with technology skills or technology prowess, two scenarios in terms of what career you can venture into are being a consultant. Consultant is a broad term that we can use, and in this particular session, I'll use project implementation as the example. And the second scenario would be, yes, you can still be a chartered accountant, but no, you cannot just stop at your accounting education certificate. I think you still need technology skills, and I'll show you why later in this session. Now, the first scenario, if you're deciding, or if you've decided that, I'm studying accounting, but I don't feel like being an accountant. I don't feel of being taking chartered accounting. I like myself. I don't see myself taking ACCA or CIMA. It's just I don't feel like it. But I know that I have other skills that I can put or fully utilize that skill into something else and build a career on that. So if you take technology, it is no longer a luxury, it's a fundamental now. And then you need to understand this because it impacts every day of your in your everyday life. In this example, say for example, the first bit is accountant use systems. Now, in this era, systems that's available in the market, they will require number one, implementation, otherwise it won't reach to the users, and number two, they will need upgrades because you will need more advanced features. Take your handphone, for example. Every month, at least you will have new upgrades. So similar to accounting systems, similar to ERP, you will require implementation and upgrades. Implementation and upgrades at the back end, it will require someone to build it. And you cannot build it just out of thin air. Somebody have to talk to someone to build it, and someone have to actually go and develop it. And then that's where you have a project that responsible, have the accountability to make sure those upgrades and those implementation happened accordingly. And then the teams or the project will work with accountant or with the business users to develop those upgrades and finally implement it back to the users. And with this chain, and then this is a cycle actually. So once the team work with the accountant and then implement the solution, and the cycle goes on back again. New features, new time, new teams, and then this actually breed more additional professions, which are project manager, business analyst, change manager, developer, and tester. So within a technology transformation project, typically these are the general professions or people that will be involved in realizing that feature or that new implementation. So we'll go through one by one. So now, as a person with accounting or accounting information system background, it doesn't mean that you cannot become a project manager. You can become a project manager for a finance transformation project. So the beauty with that is, if you are a finance transformation a finance background person, you can easily go to other side of the other business area. If you want to do sales transformation project, you can. It will be an easy transition for you. But for a person who's in sales, if they want to do finance transformation project, they might struggle a little bit because they might not have the knowledge of accounting. They don't have budgeting or forecasting knowledge. They don't have financial modeling knowledge or background to hit the ground running. So that's why I think being a person with accounting background, it served me or gave me an advantage when I entered into the job market. So as a project manager, then that's what I meant by business acumen, because you have the knowledge of accounting. You can easily transition into HR or human resource because you know that people's salary, hiring new people, giving bonuses, they will all end up with accounting or with your accounting system. So being within accounting domain will give you more opportunity to venture or explore other areas. Project management skills, whoever is taking accounting information system course now, make sure you pay more attention to your lecturer teaching the accounting information system or project management course, because that's where you're going to learn the whole end-to-end project life cycle. You will learn the waterfall approach. I'm not sure whether agile is within your syllabus now, but within the market, we tend to move towards using agile project methodology or approach rather than a waterfall ones, especially if you're dealing with if you're working within the software development company. So you'll definitely use agile. Make sure you're familiar with being a scrum master. You're familiar with performing retrospectives and stuff like that. So those are the keywords. Again, very skillful in project management skills. You would require, obviously, I can't stress a lot on these skills. I think last year I was given the opportunity to speak in this forum as well. I did say the same thing again. Communication skill is very crucial, regardless of in which career that you want to venture into. Now, leadership skills. This is pretty interesting because obviously as a project manager, you will be the umbrella that will protect your project team from the outside, I would say, threats, which is business users that may lead to your scope creep. You will protect your team from the higher level people, which is the higher management. So you will need a leadership skill, and with your leadership skill, you should be able to motivate the people within your team to keep on producing more and more quality output. So leadership skill is something that you have to practice from now, because how? It's just as simple as whenever your lecturer give you a group assignment. I think what I did right back then was every time we got a group assignment, I would ended up being the group team leader, even though I don't want to. But I think at one point, when I reflect back now, it was because of those practices that I had when I was studying. It kind of helped to build that confidence and that leadership skill in me. So don't be afraid to raise your hands up to say, I want to be the class rep, I want to be the team captain or the team leader, because that will serve you a huge advantage when you started to go to the market and looking for jobs. And then finally, you need to have analytical skill and problem solving skills. Whenever that you go to the job market, people will say, we need a problem solver. You need to be able to solve problem, because otherwise there's no reason for people to hire you. So that's always what I have in mind. Whenever, and solving problem is where you add value, especially if you're a business analyst. Now, let's talk about the second person. So project manager, manage the team, those are the skills, but business analyst is crucial because they will put together, they will become the central pillar to talk to everyone. Business analyst needs to talk to the business users. Business analyst needs to talk to the testers, to the developer, and to the change manager. So as a business analyst, regardless of you are a functional business analyst or a technical business analyst, you need to understand more than one languages. When I say languages here, it doesn't mean that you have to understand Bahasa. It doesn't mean that and Mandarin or not that language. What I'm referring to here is actually the business language, because the best example I can say here is when you perform some testing. When you talk to a developer or to a tester and you say, oh, I need a test script. When they hear the word test script, they will start writing SQL script. And then apparently when you talk to the business user, for them test script means, oh, it's a scenario one by one that they want to test the system for. So I want to input this percentage or this currency exchange and see whether the system generate the right amount at the end. That is how business users understand test script, which is what to test the system for. But at the developer side, they are just starting to write codes and stuff. So that's the kind that is the kind of languages that I'm referring to. The skills that you need to have as a business analyst is not just understanding how system works on the functionality wise. As a technical business analyst, you would need data analysis and modeling. For me, I didn't have that formal education on the technical side of data analysis. I did learn Excel when I was in diploma and degree, but I learned more advanced functions of it, some products and stuff like that. And also I started to upskill myself with SQL and Python and L-Traits at the moment. So I need that because the reason why I need to upskill that was because if I need some data from the database, it will take me 3 days for someone to fetch the data for me. But if I have access to the database and I know how to write a SQL script, then it will take me half an hour to 1 hour to just get the data for me. So that will make my life more efficient, and then I will be able to progress faster with my work. Agile methodology, you have to, as a business analyst, you have to be aware, you have to be very skilled in agile methodology, because this is the current trend right now. People are willing to do trial and error to implement something. User experience and design, this is the latest development within the agile methodology itself. Within our practice, whenever that a business analyst try to develop some new solutions, we will put at the back of our head, how will this impact user experience? What does it mean by user experience? Just put it this way. If you are building a new feature within an accounting information system, and that feature is actually to generate bank reconciliation statement. Currently, it will take the users 10 clicks from different windows to generate that statement. So you, as a business analyst, you want to add value, you want to change that solution, what do you need to do? So by thinking about, okay, instead of 10 clicks from 10 different windows, can I do something where users just click 3 times and then it will generate what they need? And then what else that needs to be there? Do you need like more intuitive explanation? Do you need more bubble box to appear for them to, to facilitate them to select the next option? So those are user experience. I think you're more well versed with that whenever that you install something on your phone. You see next, finish. So those are the kind of user experience that the simplest example. Business process modeling, please bear in mind, as a business analyst, this is a key skill that you need to have, which is to understand current process and document it in a diagram, because people don't like to use words nowadays. People like pictures and photos and diagrams. So business process modeling is where you document the process of executing something into a visual representation for the current state and try to replicate the same into the future states and propose some improvements. Communication and collaboration, I think this is straightforward. You, as a business analyst, you cannot be an introvert, even though I'm a borderline introvert myself. So what I mean by that was, yes, I'm an introvert, but the moment I speak with a stakeholder, I'll sit down and then document everything. So in terms of collaboration, I built the required skill when I was in uni and throughout my experience. Talk to people, network, and then, that's where you build your communication skills and your confidence. And a lot of reading, because if you want to talk to people, you don't want to talk gibberish, you don't want to talk rubbish. So make sure that you read a lot. Make sure you keep your knowledge to your current knowledge. Doesn't have to be very technical. You don't have to understand what ChatGPT does at the back end. You just need to know how to use them, and then you should be able to carry yourself in the conversation. Change management specialist. Okay, this is, I think this is something new that for some of you or most of you. Now, within transformation project, yes, you have business analysts to do the talking. Yes, you have developers to develop the solution. Yes, you have a project manager to oversee the project. You also need a dedicated person to help bridge, to help manage the change. What I mean here is, say for example, I am using Microsoft Excel now, okay? I'm used to all the Microsoft product, but suddenly my company said, oh, the management decision is to not use Microsoft product now. They want to use Google product. So you have Google Office Suite, you have Google Sheet, you have Google Slides with different functionality, different user interface. Then they cannot simply just subscribe, or the management can't simply subscribe to it and then just dump it on the employees to, you know, to do their thing, to use it straight away. They need a change management specialist to help them bridge from where they are now to where they want to be in the future. If I am so used, I've been using Microsoft Excel for the past 10 years of my career. If somebody dumped me Google Sheet, it will take me a whole lot of time to just execute the same process. So you need change manager to say, okay, if you're using diagram in Google Sheet or in Microsoft Excel, this is the diagram equivalent function in the Google Sheet. So you need that person to be the bridge and then to help transition or make it a smooth transition. And as a change management specialist, if you have an accounting or finance background, it will help you talk and plan the change activities accordingly. So you know that as an accountant or as an account clerk, they have been doing this, and you can, because if you wanna train someone, because part of the things that change management specialists have to do is they have to help coordinate training sessions. Sometimes it can take days and weeks for a person to be trained on certain new system. So if you have that accounting knowledge, if you do, if you are involved in the finance technology transformation, that's where you are able to sequence, to make it a nice sequence for people to learn. Otherwise, you won't be able to properly arrange the training sessions. And you need, that's why I said financial business acumen, because if you have the financial knowledge, you would be able to relate well with people from the finance team. And if you are within finance, I remember when I was studying bachelor degree in accountancy, within UITM, we were exposed to a whole lot of different areas. I learned about a little bit of human capital stuff. I learned a little bit of finance, corporate finance stuff. I learned a little bit on accounting information system. So those small glimpses of other subjects, because back then I was questioning the system, why this university have all this syllabus. I remember accounting within the UITM have the most subjects to learn. It took us 4.5 years to complete our whole lot of education, but now I feel I'm very grateful for that, because it exposed me to different area within the business, that when I jumped into my career, people were talking about HR. Oh, I know you have budgeting. Oh, I know you have payroll. Oh, you know how payroll works. So I know how it works because I was exposed to it way earlier compared to my other peers. Stakeholder management, easy. It's just you dealing with another human being. I take it that way. You have to practice while you're graduating. That was what I meant earlier by lecturers gave you this safe space to make mistakes. So take those opportunities, not making mistakes by not attending classes, but the mistakes that you do is raise up your hand, ask stupid questions. I can see Puan Azura there. Ask her how many questions I ask every class. Because I don't know, I'm maybe a slow learner, so I ask a lot of questions. Sometimes those are basic questions, so I'm proud of it. Anyway, moving on, project management skills. As a change management specialist, you have to understand and be skillful in project management. So because you will be managing the whole change activities throughout the project. And analytical and problem solving skill. You will be, if you are dealing with human being, be prepared to deal with a lot of problems. That's my motto, because human will always cause problems. So you will always have issues. That is why I still have my job, because my job is to solve problems. So if you want to be good at your job, then you have to be good at problem solving skills and be brave to face whatever issues that will put in front of you, because that's how you learn and grow from becoming a better person, to become a better person. Now, test specialist. As an accounting student, I know that some or most of our audience today, you guys are from accounting information system, and you might learn a bit more of system or information system stuff than a normal accounting or diploma in accountancy students. Now, this is a potential career for you. If you are introvert, you're not interested of dealing with people, you're just interested of dealing with system, and you don't want to become a developer. This is or programmer when I say developer. So if you don't want to be a programmer, but you don't want to deal with people, test specialist could be a potential career for you, because what you will do is you have business analysts gathering all the requirements. You have the developer or the programmer building the solution for you. Your task is just to take whatever requirements that you have, understand what the developer or the programmer built, test it. Test whether it works or not. If they want 3 clicks, do you 3 clicks to execute something? See whether the actual build takes 3 clicks. So that is your job. And in the real world, it's not that simple. So anyway, that's your job as a tester. The skills that you need to have is technical expertise, obviously. It's very broad terminology, but you get what I mean. If you want to be with Microsoft companies, you need to be well versed with all the Microsoft product, the Azure, Microsoft Office, the Microsoft Dynamics. So Microsoft have this whole suite of systems and technologies that you need to be familiar with. You also need to be aware or be skillful with Amazon. They have their cloud system, their database, data warehouse. So you need to be skillful in that area. So knowing or learning those will not serve you as a disadvantage. Testing methodologies, I can't help you with that because I've never attempt into that or dive into that area before. But there are different type of testing where you do functional testing or you do your regression testing. Regression testing is where you try to hack the system and make sure that you're testing it, or you stress test it to make sure that it's working, it won't break. You need analytical skills because sometimes business analysts can give you crap requirements, but you need to be you need to have that analytical skill to think outside the box. When some people say that I want A plus B equals to C, you should be able to process, what if I take C plus B? Do you have a requirement for that? So you have to start thinking outside the box to make sure that your aim is to break the system. If the system breaks, meaning either business analyst is not doing the right job or the programmer did it wrongly or didn't configure the system properly. Adaptability and learning agility skills. This is important for testers because you won't be dealing with just one technology. You will be dealing with a lot of test systems. You need to be agile enough to learn new technologies. And finally, communication skills, regardless if you're an introvert, you don't like to talk to people, at the end of your test, you need to tell or report your findings. You need to be able to say, okay, I've tested 11 or I have tested 1,000 scenarios. You have to communicate. When I say communicate, it's not just saying something. You have to also prepare something for people or visualize something for people to see. So communication skill, verbal presentation skill need to be polished in order to also become a test specialist. So if you are in your Bell or English class, pay attention to that. Take opportunities to make all the mistakes that you can. Developers, unfortunately, this is out of scope. I have not become a developer before. But interesting enough, I can share a little bit, because when I was with LexisNexis, I was a business analyst for a software development company or software development team. So what I did back then was I had to work closely with a developer to develop every single thing within that software, even the button, where to position the button, what color do you want a button to be? If you click on the button, do you want the color to change or not? So those are the kind of things that I have to come up with to tell the developer. Now, developers can come from different background, and don't be surprised if a developer knows more accounting and finance knowledge compared to you, because they have to be hands-on and develop something at the back end. So I can say you can be a developer, you can be a programmer, but I think it will take some time for you to upskill and then train and be more skillful in becoming a programmer. And developer, they don't talk really well, in a sense that there's no sugarcoating to their words. If they don't like something, they'll just say it out loud. So developer is based on my experience, I'm not saying that all programmers and developers are quite rude, but initially I found them quite rude because they'll just say whatever that they have in their mind, but that's how they are. They are more a person who engrossed with the details of building the software, and then and try to come up with the solution or requirements that you want. Now, the skills that you need to have as a developer, it kind of depends on what solution or what technology you want to specialize in. I can't say a lot about this, because nowadays you have a lot of technologies that you need to be aware of, especially with the AI, the blockchain. You have to be aware and then choose which solution that fits you well. Now, we've covered the the consultant side of it. Yes, that is one chunk of it, and I have a lot of slides on that, because that's my 10-year experience so far. But if you're studying accounting information system and you're still doing accounting, and you say that I still want to become an accountant, I don't care. I want to become an accountant. I want to be a certified accountant. What should I do? Why do I need to learn about technology? Now, if you want to pursue becoming a professional accountant, this could be the area that you can specialize in whenever that you go into the market. You can go into financial accounting and reporting. I'll touch a bit more on that. You can be an auditor. That's the common career for accounting graduates. Become an auditor. Taxation, you can be a tax analyst. You can do business consulting, which covers what I mentioned in the previous slides. You can involve in financial management, which is coming up with budgets, forecasts, and stuff like that. Corporate finance, you involve with a lot of investments, derivatives, equity, all those plain vanilla investment vehicles. And then I think it has become a trend now where people or companies or banks in Australia investing on forensic accounting. So that could be another area you can probe into. We have several projects within the big banks in Australia where they are investing on new forensic accounting solutions. So definitely check out forensic accounting area if you're interested in that area. Now, financial accounting and reporting, if you go back to the first point, that's where I am now within Macquarie Bank. I'm a business analyst within the reporting department. Within Treasury, they have another department they call risk and reporting. So that's where the people within that department have to report to the regulator, we call it APRA here, on the financial position, on how do we manage risk, monitoring our exposures because we deal with a lot of derivatives and stuff. So within reporting department, all my stakeholders, they are all chartered accountants. You can see CA behind of their names. I'm the only one within my team that doesn't have CA behind my name, but that doesn't matter. So I have to talk to them, and they will speak all these accounting jargons with me. So they will talk about exposures, they will talk about derivatives, they will talk about haircut. And the first time when I heard about haircut, I was like, huh? I'm in a bank and people are talking about haircut. So definitely Google that, haircut for investment. What does it mean? So you will get exposed to all these jargons. And guess what? Sometimes big banks are still relying on Excel because they are more and it's not their fault to rely on Excel. Now, here's the reason. With an investment, it's a very fluid market. You can have market crash. You can have suddenly the metal price or suddenly the oil price increase and suddenly the regulation change. If you subscribe to this reputable solution provider, say for example SAP or Wall Street Suite, these high-end systems, do you think when the market change, they can straight away change? The answer is no. The moment the market change, someone within the solution provider company needs to work with the users to develop new features. So it will take at least 6 months for a new release, or at least the fastest would be 4 months for a new release to be rolled out to the market. So if you don't have a tool that is flexible enough for you to manage your daily activities, then that's where you're doomed. That's where you're screwed. So that's why some bigger banks, and I'm not surprised when I joined Macquarie Bank within their reporting department, some of the processes are still managed with using Excel. And that was the reason, because they have to start using the Excel when something changed. Suddenly, the regulator introduced a new monitoring limit, and then the current system that they're using cannot cater for that. Then they have to switch to Excel for a bit. And that's where you have a team like mine to go into, okay, you're using Excel now, it's time for us to change. What can be done? Are we still using the same format in Excel or not? Where the data coming from? So within the reporting team now, the trend, people are moving from Excel to Alteryx. So that is a solution that I think can be your arsenal to put underneath your sleeves if you want to go for interviews. Now, for accounting information system, I would highly recommend for you to understand the whole end-to-end cycle of data, or the life cycle of data. Data comes from the moment somebody key in something in the system. Someone will then summarize it. Someone else will then use that for decision making. So if you look at the data life cycle, somebody enter it, somebody in the system record it, and then you have to download it and then put it in Excel, visualize it in graph. That takes a lot of effort. So I would highly recommend for you to look at data requirement, data life cycle, and then see how this data transform from an individual data that cannot be used for decision making into a decision making tool at the end. Because in a nutshell, data flow into database, you grab it and you put it in Alteryx for data cleansing and data processing, because that's what Alteryx do. So you do data cleansing in Alteryx, and then you need another solution at the end to effectively communicate those information based on the data that you've gathered. So you can be, I mean, the two examples that I've had experience with are Power BI from Microsoft, and then from SAP, it was called SAP BI, it's business intelligence. So those are reporting tools where it takes whatever data that has been cleansed by Alteryx, or if you cleansed it within Excel, and then project it into attractive dashboards or graphs or pie charts and stuff, or diagrams, I would say. So as a person with accounting and finance background, I think it will be a waste if you don't explore this, because these are the opportunity that you have in the market currently, because people are moving towards data now. It's data transformation. So yes, that is definitely the trend. If you look at what the vacancies that you have within the market now, people are looking for technical business analyst, people are looking for data analyst, data engineer they call it, or someone call it data scientist. So those are the potential career if you really like numbers and you really like analyzing numbers or analyzing data. What else that I want to cover under financial business consulting? Okay, this is another area that I want you to explore. If you have this accounting knowledge and finance knowledge, I mentioned earlier that you can venture in any area within the organization. To date, I have had the experience of working within, obviously, treasury and finance. The second area that I jumped into before, or got involved before, was human resource. So I did some HR system implementation before. I also have worked in the area of procurement. So just imagine you have a huge organization, they need to buy something for the staff. If you have 5,000 employees, you can't go to the market and buy one thing at a time. So procurement is where you have this department within the organization that will become the engine of procuring things from the market at the best price, and then roll it out to and distribute it to the employees or the staff. I've had the experience working in the asset management. I'm not talking about financial asset, I'm talking about physical asset management. It's the whole asset life cycle, which ties closely to finance and accounting, because the moment when I say asset management, it was about a company purchasing a crane, for example. And you cannot buy a crane like, oh, I swipe my credit card and I get a crane. It takes a project, because cranes needs to be assembled. And then how do you want to depreciate a crane? That's an asset. So I was involved in that area as well, where the project to procure and manage the asset. And what happened if the cranes has already been past their useful life? How do you get rid of the cranes? How do you manage the cost of disposing a crane? So I was involved in that as well. I was obviously involved in investment. side of things, equity derivatives, managing project and implementing system for them. Insurance, it's a big thing in Australia. Actually, insurance is one industry on its own where it's regulated. They have their own system, they have their own requirements, involve a lot more mathematical calculations, which sometimes I don't understand. But the point is, if you want to explore consulting, go for it, because it will be like an ocean of areas that you can explore. So yeah, definitely go for that. And finally on this, if you decided to become an accountant, it's not the end of the road, because you still have to get your hands dirty with all these technologies. So when I mentioned earlier, data analytics and visualization, you have Microsoft Power BI, Tableau, you have Alteryx, you have Excel Advanced Analytics features. You need to choose one, at least, be good at it, use it as your selling point when you go for an interview. And the safest one to go, I think, for now is Microsoft Advanced Data Analysis features, and then Alteryx. If you want to go for more technical roles, then definitely explore Tableau. The next one would be Power BI. I think Power BI is a good tool where now Microsoft has make it not compulsory, but whenever that you subscribe to a Microsoft product within organizations, they will package it with Microsoft Power BI. So if you have Power BI knowledge, that will set you aside from other candidates when you go for an interview or applying for jobs. Accounting software, obviously you are studying accounting information system. Please be well versed with at least one software. I'm not sure whether within UiTM or what software you are using now as part of the curriculum, but it doesn't matter. It's not that you're going to the market to look for a job and say, look, I only learn the free version of MyOp. It doesn't matter. What matters is you know how the software works, and then how it is being structured. Because when I went for the interview with Petronas, when they asked me, oh, what information system you are familiar with, I did mention it was MyOp, but that was just one word that I mentioned. What I sold the most was how I understand how the accounting or how this ledger or the information or the configuration being made at the back end. So like before you can key in your transactions, what do you need to do before that can be done? You need to configure your general ledger. You have to configure all these layers of account structure. So I sold those. I sold my understanding of how accounting software works, rather than, oh, I just know how to key in transactions within that accounting software. ERP systems, like I mentioned, these are the most popular one at the moment: Oracle Financials, SAP ERP, Microsoft Dynamics. ERPs, like I mentioned, the accounting is just one module out of the many modules within ERP. If you understand Power BI, Alteryx and Power BI, and Excel Advanced Analytics, you are able to marry data from different modules within the ERPs and try to come up with a valuable insights. So that is what we need, because, for example, you have marketing team and you have you have procurement team and you have the accounting team. You know that procurement procure something and then just input it in the system, but you know that it will end up in the accounting system. But if you understand these two areas, you would be able to see whether the procurement team made the right decision or not. Because if they just procure things, then what happens if you can't use those things anymore? Say, for example, laptops. Back then, when I started my work, companies normally purchase laptops and then sell it off or dispose it. That was the old business model. The current business model is leasing. So they hire another, or they engaged another service provider, just lease the laptops, and then after 5 years, return it back. And they know that this is the transactions that they do, and they by doing so, they are able to tap into more latest technology, because the lessor or the leasing provider company will definitely want to continue making business with you. They will make sure that all their devices that they want to lease out are the most advanced and the most up to date. So ERPs. Cloud computing, of course, now people are moving to cloud. I think I'm lucky enough, I'm fortunate enough to be able to experience both. When I started my career as business analyst, we were dealing with a lot of on-premise solutions where you install everything in your computer. But now, no more installations required. You just log in using your credentials, and then you can straight away use your system. So definitely take note and then be aware of what cloud computing solutions are out there. For example, Microsoft Azure and Amazon, because this could be, you need to be aware. This could be your advantage when you're applying for any technology-related job. The next one is actually interesting and still developing at the moment: automation and robotic process automation. As a business analyst or as someone within the technology space, you need to be aware of process, developing a process, understanding current process, and people always want things to be automated. So now we have UiPath, you have automation anywhere to help this do all these repetitive things for you. For example, payroll. Back then, somebody will need to key in your timesheet or take your timesheet that you inputted in the system, generate a file, send the file. I remember I used to send a diskette to a bank for the bank to disburse salary for the whole company. So how do we automate that? Because that happens every month. So if it's repetitively happening every month, there is definitely an opportunity to automate things. So and automation is definitely the in thing right now. Cybersecurity awareness. I'm not sure how is it the market in Malaysia, but in Australia we have quite a number of cases where reputable company systems are being hacked. Personal information of the clients have been leaked out. So how to prevent that? Definitely you will need the basic awareness on cybersecurity. This could be another potential career for you. You can be a cybersecurity analyst. You don't have to. Initially, I thought to be a cybersecurity analyst or tester, you need a technical knowledge. No, apparently not. You don't have that program. You don't need to have that programming knowledge to do cybersecurity. I have a colleague who started her career as a waiter in a restaurant, did her bachelor degree in business administration, but now is a cybersecurity test specialist. So you can explore that, and you can learn. Definitely, you can leverage on that. Now, I think I took a lot of time to speak now. I'll come to my last slide before I open up for Q&A. I know that, yes, you are learning all this stuff for you, obviously, to learn and upskill yourself, but ultimately you will leave your universities or the institution that you are in now to venture into the job market. So a piece of advice from me, considering that we are in the era where our attention span is very short, back then, I still remember when I attended a course for communication in workplace. They said during interview, you have 2 minutes to brand yourself. I don't think that you have the luxury of 2 minutes now to brand yourself at the beginning of an interview. With our pace now, you only have the first sentence that you utter in your interview to capture the attention of the interviewers. So you have to make sure that your first sentence come out right and then trigger curiosity to the interviewers to know more about you. That was the phrase that I used at the beginning of the session to say that, oh, I'm a business analyst specializing in financial supply chain management. And then people will start the interviewers will ask, what do you mean by financial supply chain? That's where I've captured their attention and they want to get to know me more. Just imagine if I say, I am a business analyst with 10 years experience doing multiple projects. It will turn them off straight away. They will start questioning, so what if you have 10 years experience? So what if you're a business analyst? So my advice would be, think thoroughly the first sentence of your interview, what you want to say. Now, that leads to another question. How do you craft your first sentence? So now, the tips is, look at the job description that you're applying for. Try to come up with one sentence summary or the most catchy summary that you can say at the beginning of your interview, because out of the many interviews that I've had attended throughout my career, all of those sessions started with, tell us a little bit about yourself. 100% of my interviews, the first question they asked was, tell us a little bit about yourself. That's why I said you only have your first sentence. It's your sink or swim moment. So there are some tips. Yes, you want to come up with the fancy, the catchy phrase that you want, but there are some do's and don'ts that you need to be aware of. I'll just put top 3, but you can definitely explore more. The first one would be, make it simple. Make it like you can say it with one breath without gasping for air at the end. So make it simple, make it impactful, because that's the reason why I ask you to summarize the job description. If you give one summary and people don't care about that, if they're hiring for a waiter, but you said you're a financial analyst, it is not impactful. It's not something. It is not something that they're looking for. And then again, precisely summarize the job you're applying for. So by doing that, that's where they will start probing further. That's where you have to start thinking, okay, what are the questions they're going to ask you? If you say you are a business analyst specializing in agile methodology, do you know enough about agile to say that you're a specialist? So that's where you have to start thinking and analyze your own skill and analyze yourself. The don't sound cocky. You have to be reasonably humble, in the sense that, don't say that, oh, I'm a project manager who's delivered 3 million projects last year. Yes, you like the numbers, but the numbers should be in your resume. But you can say something along that line that doesn't sound cocky. Not too draggy, like I mentioned. Make it like you can say it with a confident voice in one breath without gasping for air at the end. The third one is cliche. Don't make it sound cliche. I'm the business analyst you're looking for. No, not interested at all. So those are the top 3 do's and don'ts. That is the one piece of advice that I could give. I hope this session is valuable to you, at least some, if not most of it. With that, I think thank you very much for your attention and participation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fadrullah, for addressing this interesting topic. Before we get started onto the Q&A, I would like to address about something that you mentioned before about the AGW 2022. In AGW 2023, is Mr. Fadrullah Safian's second participation as a guest presenter. During AGW 2022, Mr. Fadrullah presented a very interesting topic titled The Key Risk and Areas of Focus for Internal Audit in 2022. Has involved 135 online participants on the WebEx platform, and until 17 May 2023, views on YouTube totaled 3,389 viewers. Congratulations to Mr. Fadrullah for his contribution to AGW 2022 and student career guidance. Give a big clap to Mr. Fadrullah. So without further ado, participants can ask questions in the chat box, or you can ask using mic. Any participants? If not, I'll ask my first question. May I?
You need somebody to start, hey?
Okay,
go for it, Asika.
All right. So for the first question is about the impact of automation on the profession of accounting. How will the increasing use of automation and artificial intelligence in the accounting profession affect the job market and the skill required for accountants?
That is an interesting question. Thank you for asking that. Funny enough, I read an article earlier this week about that, saying that 20% of job market that relates to, if I'm not mistaken, accountant will get replaced with AI. Now, I think AI is still relevantly quite new, where it is not yet mature enough for people to really trust it 100%. Banks in Australia, even Macquarie, they are still exploring the use of AI in their process. Currently, they're using it for new application or new product application when people apply for a product. So processing that information, the form that have been submitted, and then trying to filter who's qualified and who are not. That's the extent how we're using it now. The reason why we're not using it at big bank at the moment, because people still unsure whether it is safe in terms of cybersecurity perspective. Can it open opportunities for people to easily hack your system? We don't know. So at the moment, the way it impacts the organization or the accounting profession is it will automate your daily tasks. For example, capturing invoice information and classifying it into the relevant accounting code. But you still need a human being to review that and then come up with the best narratives and insights. So at the moment, artificial intelligence and this robotic and automation tools, definitely they are useful, but as far as I'm concerned, it is being used for more, I would say, clerical activities or tasks within organization. I hope that answers your question.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Fadrullah. There is a question from the chat box from Adriana Natasha. She asks, what is the difference between tech accountant and accountant?
So, tech accountant is the word that I made up. You can ask Chiang. It was a conversation that I had with him. Like, what topic should I use or should I share with you guys? And then I was like, okay, I learned technology throughout my career, not within my education or my uni life, but I learned accounting when I was in uni. So let's marry those together and then create this tech accountant. And accountant is just accountant, like you mentioned, somebody who communicates or who report, I would say, record and report financial transactions for the use of the users within an organization. So yes, and sorry about that if there's no tech accountant out there. I made it up. Next question I can see here, technology, just a tool, but we also need to realize that technology may also introduce new opportunities for system manipulation, some kind of fraud activities, especially in accounting processes. My question to you, how the technology may impact especially our professional judgment as an accountant when we are facing with this kind of fraud activities? How the technology may impact especially our professional judgment and accountant. Okay, cool, interesting. Thank you for asking, Asha. Within the audit profession, this is not new. This has been in the market for quite a while. Before a financial auditor enter a client or an organization, they will send another team beforehand to test the technology being used within organizations. So for example, if UITM, if UITM engage KPMG to perform financial auditing work, KPMG will send IT auditor to audit the system first. So IT auditor will go and try to break the system and try to look at, oh, how do you input your financial transaction? How do you capture this data? How does this data or this function talk to another function? So IT auditor will first assess whether the system or the technology being used for that scope is sound or not. They will come up with a report to say, okay, so the system being used to capture and produce this financial information or these financial statements, they are sound. They are not 100%, maybe 80%, 90% sound, because obviously there will be some gaps and holes that we can further improve. So they were the first line of defense that will make sure that whenever a financial auditor enters into the area and do their financial auditing, they know that they can rely on the numbers and the numbers that comes from that functionality. So that's how technology might impact your decision making, because you will decide how many samples you want to take for that particular area that you're auditing for. If it's the area where the IT auditors say that I'm only 80% confident, then as a financial auditor, you will say, I'll take more samples in that area. So that's how technology can assist. And with the current technology, I think with the advancement of our technology, back then I still remember I used to help my friend trying to churn something from Excel to see whether the population of the samples makes sense instead of testing row by row. So I think the technology now is smart enough to do that for you. So at the end, I think it will take lesser time for IT auditor to come up with their reports when they do testing on the system. Hopefully that answers your question.
Is there any more questions from the participants?
Yes.
While waiting for people to ask.
Can I ask question?
Yeah, sure.
All right. By looking at your working experience just now, So your surroundings is all about technology. So you could say that you are having vast experience as a technology accountant. So since you are dealing with the technology as a business analyst, you are talking about technology to your stakeholders, okay, and then you convey their needs to the IT developers, IT specialists to fulfill the requirements. And I assure you must also be aware of any potential vulnerabilities, okay, ataupun problems in the accounting systems. So every single thing you need to deal with your IT developer in terms of the features of the apps, even the simple thing just now you said about the color of the button itself also can be important matters need to be considered in the application development. And all these kind of things is actually to give the very best solution of the accounting system to your stakeholders. So my question, what kind of regular problems, what kind of regular weaknesses you frequently found when you are dealing with your IT developer? Do they finally successful fixing the problems? Do they finally succeeding in fulfilling the requirements of your stakeholders? All right, thank you.
All right. Thank you for that question. It is very interesting. It's like opening up a can of worm, but actually, that's a good question. So, I've mentioned the rainbows and butterflies of the career, but I didn't mention the tears and the frustrations along the way. So obviously, like I mentioned, but I did hint at somewhere along the line, if you're dealing with human beings, you're dealing with problems. So as part of the job, I have to build negotiation skills. I have to be resilient, because it will never be one-way route. Meaning, the moment I get a requirement, it's not like, oh, I'll take it and then bring to the developer. Developer will build it straight with me. Sometimes it takes months to just implement one feature. It's just because two parties can't agree with each other. Like you rightly pointed out, business stakeholders want something. But when you talk to the developer said that, oh, I can't do that for you because that will go against how we structure the whole system as a whole. That will break the architecture of the system. So I will need to be able to understand and probe why. Sometimes it can be as, I don't have they don't feel like doing it. So like I said, I'm dealing with difficult people. Sometimes they will say, it's a waste of time to build that, but to the stakeholder, they want it. So I need to go to them and understand if they can't do it. I have to challenge that. I have to challenge and say, okay, why? I have to ask 5 whys, meaning that why you cannot do that, or I cannot do this because of A. Why you cannot do A? And then I cannot do A because I need to do B. Why you cannot do B? So I have to dig that layer of defense. And sometimes it can be a legit concern. Like they will say, that if you want what you want, using the design that you want, it will open the solution to threats. Okay, then it's not that, the developer said that it is not suitable, it's opening up to threat, just bring that to the stakeholder. It's not like that. We need to tell the developer, okay, if that's the concern, is there any work around it? Is there any other alternatives? So before I have to go back to the business, I have to sit down with the developer, asking all these whys, and then trying to find an alternative solutions or options of solution. That's where the critical thinking, problem solving skills come into the picture. Accounting knowledge, business knowledge, working closely with the developer to formulate that solution that they will build. And it's not just between me and the developer. Sometimes I have to get the testers involved, because the testers will know more about security. They will know more about the control checkpoints. So we have to rope in all these other subject matter experts into the conversation if we are faced with that concern or issues. So I hope that answers your question. It will be like a whole mini project on its own to solve that one black spot in that solution. And to all students, if I may add, whenever that the lecturers give you all this group assignment and presentations, make sure you'll be the one that will be the first one to present. That shows guts, that shows confidence, and at the same time, you can relax after your first presentation.
All right, thank you, Mr. Fadrullah. There's a question from chat in the chat box, from Nihal H. Based on your experience in the coming 5 years, which new technologies do you think will have the biggest influence on accountants' jobs? What key strategies or skills do you recommend accountants develop to stay ahead and effectively adapt to these technology advancements?
Great one. Definitely, I would say data analytics. That's the first thing that came up to mind. Data analytics, that's definitely a way forward, combined with artificial intelligence or robotic automations. So those are the two things that I think, if you have 1 year to go to the job market, or I mean, if you're going to the job market next year, try to make sure that you're skilled enough on data analytics. That's number one. Number two, I would say cybersecurity. Key strategies, that's a good call out. I think you are a very blessed generation because you have access to all these new tools and technologies and training sites. You have Udemy, you have, I can't remember the other training platforms. The best thing I normally what I'll do is try to go into LinkedIn and then see what are the other people within the community, because whenever that you subscribe for LinkedIn, you can put your area of interest. So if you put your area of interest as accounting and technology, so you will get all these feeds if you follow the right people. So definitely you'll be able to expose to all these new trends. So that's where, and LinkedIn also normally have this algorithm where they'll propose new skills and new courses for you to attempt. Sometimes they are free, sometimes they comes with some fees. Sometimes I find it very quite expensive as well, but go there first, and then you can source other platforms such as Udemy. And then I can't remember on top of my head at the moment. The key strategies would be definitely to make sure you keep abreast of the new, the latest technology. Like I mentioned earlier, read a lot. Make sure you're updated with the current trend and the knowledge. I mean, I enjoy reading manga, comics, but at the same time, I know I have to spend at least an hour a day to see what's in the market, what people are talking about. So whenever that I go into my LinkedIn, I'll see people liking a new blockchain article. Then I'll go into that article and see on the high level what it's talking about. That's where I got to know, oh, you have ChatGPT, fine. But people are questioning whether it is 100% correct or not. Someone got sued because ChatGPT generates a false accusation. So definitely ChatGPT is not the God. So, but from there you learn, like, if you go to people to say that, oh, I love ChatGPT, that's like the whole new trend now. You don't know that there are negative sides to that thing as well. So that's how you get to know, you make sure that you know what's coming in technology. And you should appreciate your lecturer for holding this kind of forum, because I mean, if it's not me, if it's someone else, this will expose you to what the market trend is every year. So you will see, okay, last year I talked about technologies and risk as auditor. This year I'm talking about a different thing, but still similar notion about skills that you need to learn. So you can see that, oh, okay, last year I was talking about data analytics. This year, it is getting more popular among the job market to find people that can analyze data and present, and more importantly, present the data for decision making. Oh yes, thanks Ciamda Coursera. That's what I had in mind, but yeah, thanks for that. Assalamualaikum, sir. As you said earlier, there are a lot of job opportunities that we can choose to be specialized in. However, as time goes by, the scope of job opportunities may change. In your opinion, how can we decide which be the choice for ourselves? What platform can we use to get a constant exposure on the job opportunities that relates to accounting? Thanks, Fadrullah. So the first thing would be definitely LinkedIn. I'm not sure whether you still have JobStreet there. I'm not sure if is it still a thing, JobStreet? Okay, I thought it's already been replaced by LinkedIn, but definitely go there. And then now this is a thing that the good thing of attending universities is not just making friends, but also networking. You never know, your classmate could be someone, or could be a son of a multi-million dollar company. So networking is where you start to get to know people, build your communication skills, and at the same time selling yourself. Platform for you to get to know about job opportunities, I've covered that. And then I tried this last night. I went into ChatGPT. I asked, what is the latest technology vacancy for accounting graduates? It came up with consultants. It came up with financial accountant. It came up, the third one was tax specialist. So, I mean, those are the general things. But for me, if I know that I want to become an accountant, go pursue your professional certifications and then start with being an auditor. So that's your path of becoming an accountant. If you were like me, who the moment you graduated, you're still unsure of what you want to be, but you should be able to assess yourself, what's your interest. So like myself, I know my strength is communication. My strength is, for some reason, I am not afraid to make decisions. So I say, okay, but I'm not sure which area should I go into. So when I went out, I just pick one of my strengths and then venture into the area. The moment I venture into the area and tested my water, then that's where I was like, oh, apparently within this company, you have these other opportunities. So you will learn along the way. So I don't have a specific formula for that. It's where you have to get yourself, dive in, then sink or swim. And you have to always appreciate the experience. Yes, sometimes it can be full of tears, but those experiences, those hardships will make you a better person so long as you learn from them. If you made a mistake and you didn't learn from it, then it's not on other people, it's on you. Yep.
All right, thank you, Mr. Fadrullah. Is there any questions from the participant? If not, we're going to the next session, which is the photo session.
Oh.
Yeah. Before that, I will remind all of you for the participant to fill in the attendance that has been delivered in the chat box. Okay, if not, we're going to take a photo. Is everyone ready? Okay. I'll count until 1 to 3, and then we snap. Okay. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right. Thank you for attending this session, everybody, and Mr. Fadrullah as well. Thank you for
Thank
having
you,
us.
everyone. Thank you for inviting me.